Preface. Writing an introduction to economics is both easy and hard. It's easy because in one way or another we are all economists. No one, for example, has to explain to us what prices are. We face them every day. Experts may have to explain why banks offer interest on saving deposits, or why risk aversion is a tricky concept, or why the way we measure wealth misses much of the point of measuring it, but none of these is an alien idea. As economics matters to us, we also have views on what should be done to put things right when we feel they are wrong. And we hold our views strongly because our ethics drive our politics and our politics inform our economics. When thinking economics, we don't entertain doubts. So, the very reasons we want to study economics act as stumbling blocks even as we try to uncover the pathways by which the economic world gets shaped. But as economics is in large measure about those pathways, it's as evidence-based a social science as is possible. It shouldn't be surprising that most often disagreements people have over economic issues are, ultimately, about their reading of facts, not about the values they hold. Which is why writing an introduction to economics is hard. When I first drew up plans to write this book, I had it in mind to offer readers an overview of economics as it appears in leading economics journals and textbooks. But even though the analytical and empirical core of economics has grown from strength over the decades, I haven't been at ease with the selection of topics that textbooks offer for discussion. Rural life in poor regions, that is, the economic life of some 2.5 billion people, doesn't get mentioned at all, nor with the subjects that are emphasized in leading economics journals. Nature rarely appears there as an active player. It also came home to me that Oxford University Press had asked me to write a very short introduction to economics, and there are economics textbooks that are over 1,000 pages long. So it struck me that I should abandon my original plan and offer an account of the reasoning we economists apply in order to understand the social world around us, and then deploy that reasoning to some of the most urgent problems humanity faces today. It's only recently that I realized that I would be able to do that only if I shaped the discourse round the lives of my two literary grandchildren, Becky and Desta. Becky's and Desta's lives are as different as they can be, but as they are both my grandchildren, I believe I understand them. More importantly, economics has helped me to understand them. The ideas developed here were framed and explored in my book, An Inquiry into Well-Being and Destitution, Oxford, Clarendon Press, 1993. While writing that book, I realized that economics had increasingly driven my ethics, and that my ethics in turn had informed my politics. As that is an unusual causal chain, the earlier book was more technical and a lot heavier. Theoretical and empirical advances since it was published have led me to hold the viewpoint I advanced there even more strongly now. I understand things much better than I did then, including why I don't understand many things. The present work is a natural extension of my earlier book. While preparing this monograph, I have benefited greatly from correspondence and discussions with Kenneth Arrow, Gretchen Daly, Carol Dasgupta, Paul Ehrlich, Petra Geratz, Lawrence Goulder, Timothy Gowers, Rashid Hassan, Shreya Iyer, Pramila Krishnan, Simon Levin, Carl Goran Mailer, Eric Maskin, Pranab. Economics in great measure tries to uncover the processes that influence how people's lives come to be what they are. The discipline also tries to identify ways to influence those very processes so as to improve the prospects of those who are hugely constrained in what they can be and do. The former activity involves finding explanations, while the latter tries to identify policy prescriptions. Economists also make forecasts of what the conditions of economic life are going to be. But if the predictions are to be taken seriously, they have to be built on an understanding of the processes that shape people's lives, which is why the attempt to explain takes precedence over forecasting. The context in which explanations are sought or in which prescriptions are made could be a household, a village, a district, a country, or even the whole world. The extent to which people or places are aggregated merely reflects the details with which we choose to study the social world. Imagine that we wish to understand the basis on which food is shared among household members in a community. Household income would no doubt be expected to play a role, but we would need to look inside households if we are to discover whether food is allocated on the basis of age, gender, and status. If we find that it is, we should ask why they play a role and what policy prescriptions, if any, commend themselves. In contrast, suppose we want to know whether the world as a whole is wealthier today than it was 50 years ago. As the question is about global averages, we would be justified in ironing out differences within and among households.